Their own house. Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's nice to meet
Nice to meet you. He's always talking about you.
Nice to meet you.
So you don't have
How's
your,
that?
So nice.
he's doing okay.
I don't have my number.
Computer.
No, because I think parents changed my password.
Brandon, did you start it?
I did. We are streaming live on YouTube.
More concerned with the scene.
I tried to get it on Zoom last month, and I wouldn't let me in. Then I called up, and I still wouldn't let me in.
I would have let you.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Rick told me not to let you in.
Oh, okay, so, okay, well, I'll get Rick later.
Jim, it's good to meet you. It's good seeing you. Life treating you well?
Welcome to our life.
I'm starting to melt a little bit.
I brought my church fan.
I
He just asked for one.
Thank you. I just asked for the same thing.
So we'll need to.
Yeah, I'm admitting you. You co-host.
Yes.
Y'all got on my tablet in such a long time. that I think I might have
Hey, Sana,
I put a different password in.
can you?
So, you see.
Hi, Luis. I'm Rick.
Great, finally. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Really good job. Appreciate it.
God, this is feeling my head.
I'm sure it's all negative.
Okay, yes. You'll have
Me too.
Yeah.
Now, here I
So
go
it
again, I
just
can't
got out of
hear
the
it.
elevator when I was coming in. I looked at him like this, Wanda. See, oh, last time I couldn't get the, it didn't have any sound to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Here anywhere, fine.
Yeah.
Had his trunk tape, that gray duct tape. I thought, well, who should do that?
I thought you were gonna say one. It was one of them.
It's two of us. Either way, you're right, but I don't know when the neighborhood, that wasn't last night, but the night before. Oh, she told me it's something. She got no doubt about it. She said, so I didn't get it till the next day, because you know.
Sorry.
Pick it up.
I'm gonna put this on mute. Where's mute? It's not?
Let me see the little thing right here.
Oh.
I'm improvising. I'm having, Rick is going to be our microphone today.
Yeah, we're. Keep it changing the place. Very interesting. Our vice chair is chairing. What's up? Speedy to be a champion. Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the late.
Right. There might be a three or two.
Get him set up real quick and then we can start.
Oh, we're talking.
Tell Steve I've been using a tracking now. Yeah, to work out there. Yeah. Tell Steve. I know it, right now. I'm old now. He can use it. That's why I don't think good. I don't like to use it. That's our time.
Probably not.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, Brandon, are you on to? You can mute it. I'm muted. Ask, see if she can hear now.
Okay, Commissioner, can you hear us, Commissioner Cheney? You would indicate by saying
I
yes.
can. Thank you so much.
All right. Do I have to start over? I think we can continue on. We have basically done our confirmation of quorum and public notice has been confirmed. Any comments from any public participants?
No one has signed up to speak, so we are good.
Okay, no one. So this time we will ask for consideration and approval of the minutes of the meeting held on April the 21st.
So moved.
It's been moved by McCann and seconded by Judge Stringer. All right, thank you. Trying to hear near and far. All right, it's been properly moved in second. All in favor? None opposed. Thank you. We'll move now to our section reports. We'll start with the report from our esteemed executive director.
I don't know about the esteemed. Okay, so can everyone hear me? Okay, and then in a minute we'll shift to the sound. Just to start my report, thank you everyone for coming. Sorry about the heat. It's our finest moment. We are working on getting that fixed. This floor, we're still having some issues, but that should be hopefully resolved either the next time you're here, which would be August, because we're doing June in Northern Kentucky. As we speak to other issues, just as an update, I let some of you know over email that we were going through some internet issues. Those got resolved yesterday about 4 o'clock. We're working on finalization of that HUD performance review that I've mentioned a million times now. That should be released in this month, probably June, early June. I know I've seen a draft that for the most part, it's going to come back as a good review based on our production. So there are some issues that they have already indicated in the report that we've taken steps this year to fix and address. And so that's a glowing mark for us, but we will have some things that will be up for discussion in our probably August meeting of things that they want us to change procedurally to further fit what is required by federal law. And so that's a larger topic that we'll probably have to spend a lot of time on in August. As requested at our last meeting, I did make changes to the website, adding a redlining link. And then I also shared the redlining conversation out. And if anyone had any problems accessing that, please let me know. For those of you that are new to the building, you see our floor, you see that we do have some things that need to be changed. We got our final, not the final overall approval, but we did get the final okay on what our requests are and what we're trying to get done. So the next step is seeing who and when and how we can get this done. The plan to cover the cost is that the expense, I was just talking to Commissioner Work about this, the expense will be spread over years. So we'll still save money, even though it will be a larger expense up front, or it'd be a larger expense. We'll save money by consolidating to one floor. And so the money that we're saving, some of that would go towards paying off the renovations of this floor. So we're adding floor space, redoing the floors, hopefully fixing the air conditioning, and then doing some of that work. And so I'll let you all know as that changes. In your books, I mentioned a housing event that was planned for next Friday. That is no longer happening next Friday. The capacity issues of trying to get that planned, inviting people, speakers, panels, all of that. We had one person registered, so that probably wouldn't work. So moving it out to June 17th, and if anyone wants information on that, I am sharing it on our social media daily and put it on our website as well, where people can register. If you have people or groups that you think should be included, please let me know. We can add them to the list. And then the bulk of what I wanted to do in my report is why we have guests here, which I'm very appreciative of. It's just to go through and highlight some of the students who have done such tremendous work this year in advocacy and human rights and civil rights. And so I wanted to start by just going through each of them. Some are here, some aren't, but I was going to just show a brief little clip of them testifying in their work. And then after that, we will, for each of them, I wanted to present them with something just to show that we appreciate the work that they've been doing. So the first one, and I call this Kentucky's Hope, celebrating the emerging leaders in civil rights here in Kentucky. And so in 2022, anyone who was following the legislative session saw that we saw a lot of anti-human rights, anti-civil rights legislation, and a lot of it was aimed at kids, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous and disgusting, but a lot of it was aimed at kids. And so we saw the anti-trans sports bans, some CRT bills that talked about what kids could learn, some of the good things we pushed for the Crown Act, and there were multiple things in this lane that just weren't adding up. And so I was so excited to see all of the kids who were there and doing things that most adults can't do, speaking to legislators and talking about why these different bills or whatever were bad. And honestly, most of them were much better spoken than the adults that come. And you'll see here in a second that they're way better spoken than I am. And so I just wanted to make sure we went through and highlighted what they were doing. So before we started, I did want to recognize Chris Hartman and Jackie McGranahan back there in the back. If you all wanted to say something, feel free. Chris is from Kentucky Fairness, and Jackie is ACLU of Kentucky. Chris, if you wanted to talk about what, some of the work from this year that you did with the students, feel free.
Well, I'll just say very briefly. First, I love so many folks in the room. It's great to be among friends. I'm Chris. I use he, him pronouns with the Fairness Campaign. And I mean, aside from my ACLU friends who I love very dearly, who are here, Cedar and Herman Ray were truly rock stars in the state capitol this year. We at the Fairness Campaign, since I've been there, this was probably our hardest legislative session. We faced more legitimate anti-LGBTQ attacks than in my 14 legislative sessions. This was the worst. And the ray of hope was truly Cedar and Fisher and their families who stood bravely and boldly and spoke their truth with joy and authenticity in a way that truly touched hearts. And we don't, unfortunately, a lot of legislators whose hearts may be with us may not be voting with us, but the hearts that we're cracking open today will be the votes that we need tomorrow. And Cedar and Ray and Fisher and her family are the ones who create that initial fissure, which is going to reap so many rewards as we go on. So huge thank you and congratulations to Ray and to Cedar. I think we should go ahead and applaud them.
And first, I want to say that, of course, our time working with Greenland and Cedar and Fisher was unmatched. But I can't talk about all of the things that, all of the interactions that I got to have with them without mentioning the labor that Heather Ayer had put. You want to talk real quickly about your relationship with him?
Sure. Hello, my name is Heather Ayer. I work at the ACLU of Kentucky, and I got to work with Bree and Brennan for right before session all the way through session, and getting to meet them was just, it kind of changed my view on the legislative session. As you all have heard, and I'm sure as you all followed along, it was a very rough session. It was a lot of just constant attacks that we were prepared for, but it was just a lot. There's only so much you can do, but then meeting Bree and Brennan and hearing them come up with their own testimony and hear their stories and hearing all the plans that they have for the future. And even like this summer, they're doing amazing things. And I was just very inspired by all of their work and their dedication. They're going to continue to do it. They're going to continue to work with us this summer and throughout the interim and then into next legislative session. So I'm just so happy that they are here and that they are working with us, and hopefully we will have Jackie. Jackie's like my mom's. So yes, I'm so happy for them, and I'm happy that you all have given them this opportunity to receive an award, and I can't wait to continue to work with them.
So, and thank you all, and anyone that watched the legislative session, you probably saw Jackie climbing on top of things to take pictures of people. So if you ever watched Mean Girls, it was kind of like that. So
I got great ones.
my favorite was she like crawled under a reporter and was doing angles, and that was great.
We had to get our people. We had to get our people.
So moving forward, I just wanted to, again, recognize them individually and give them each a chance to just talk about why this was important to them. And so what I'm going to do is for each of them, I'm going to play a little clip of them testifying and then have them come up here and they can share in their own much better words about why this is important to them. The first one, however, you're stuck listening to me, is Fisher Wells. Fisher was not able to come today, but I did want to show you some of the video just because it was really great testimony.
Hello, I am Fisher Wells.
Trying to think that's what it is. Is everyone muted? I like that.
So if you're in the room, probably need to mute your
Yeah.
computer speakers.
Still, Commissioner Sarr. Commissioner Sarr, are you muted? Are you muted?
It is muted, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I did turn this on now. That's what I was talking about. Sorry. Sorry to all disturb.
Allow me.
What are you doing?
Yes.
Okay.
Right now.
Hello, I am Fisher Wells.
There we go.
Hello, I am Fisher Wells. And I really enjoy playing on Westport Middle School's girls field hockey team. And the reason that is because I have learned so much. I've learned how to be humble. I've learned how to play on a team. I have learned how to lose and lose hard. We lost a game by 10 points. That's funny. It's not. I love playing with my team. I love making new friends. I made a ton.
I'm Cedar, and I'm a transgender girl. I really like playing soccer because it is fun to hang out with my friends. Also, I like gymnastics because it is very fun and it helps me stretch out. I decided to talk to you today because I want to help my friends and my family play sports on girls' teams. Playing on a girls' team should be our right as a girl, not just my rights. It's all girls' rights because there are other trans girls out there like me. So please don't exclude me from playing with my friends.
I urge you to vote no on Senate Bill 138. My fellow classmates and I heard that the bill's goal is to view American history with a positive outlook. What we really heard is that legislators want teachers to lie about our history. America was built on the ideals of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, but when we analyze our history, we see that these positive ideals are twofold. Within the goal of life, we see institutions like the government and army taking lives and imperializing Hawaii on the basis of racism and prejudice. Within the goal of liberty, we see these same institutions enslaving African Americans and keeping natives from gaining citizenship to the land.
I said, my name is Brendan Everwine. I first would like to say I really thank Senator Wise for modifying this bill and reaching out to as many people as he can. I know he talked to me, and I do empathize with his position, but I still believe that this bill will create a chilling effect in classrooms and will force teachers to dilute their lessons in fear of retaliation from parents who could misconstrue that at any age, something could be age inappropriate. Any less
Dears McMillan. I'm 12 years old and I go to Grace James Academy of Excellence. I'm asking you for support for the Crown Act, which is HB 31. It's supported by bipartisan support, Chairman Westerfield, Senator McGarvey, and supported by Representative Erica Scott, and co-sponsored by Representative Ken Banta. My hair defines me because it's big and it makes me more confident. But 2 weeks ago, my confidence was lost. 2 weeks ago, my step coach told everyone they had to wear their hair straightened in a ponytail.
Okay. Let's try that. So, moving. Test. Okay, so just to finalize my portion, I did want to follow up on a question that Vice Chair Smith raised and a request about looking at the issues of the disparities within the jail and the deaths. We put together an advisory group to look at the disparities and offer possible solutions. that group has council members from Louisville Metro Council, some attorneys, prosecutors, judges, state representatives, and some community leaders. And we're trying to schedule our first conversation very soon. And one of the things that has come out of some preliminary conversations before this group was formed, but with a lot of the same people, is we were able to get the county attorney's office and the judges to put together an amnesty docket, which what that does is it's allowing a period of time for people that have outstanding bench warrants to come and address the issues without fear of being put in jail, because a lot of times people might avoid any type of interaction with anyone in the justice system, because if they owed $50 and had a bench warrant out, if they come into contact with someone, they're going to jail. And so in this amnesty period, people can come address those issues without the fear of being put in jail. And so that was one of the creative solutions that came out. And so what we hope to do is just have these conversations to think of more creative solutions on getting people out of the jails. And so I look forward to working with that group. And then as we schedule meetings, I'll make sure you all are aware if you all want to come and join or hear some of the things that come out of that. So with that, I will end my report. Any questions or thoughts before we move forward? Oh, yeah, I did want to verbalize the staff spotlight for this month. I just wanted to thank Cynthia Fox for all the hard work she's been doing, and she's probably mad at me now. But Cynthia has done a great job of stepping in for after Aaron left, and has really helped with making sure that we're not only on track, but we're ahead of schedule on some things. And she's been really open to a few modifications of things that I feel are making us move even better, and possibly but in the right way. It's been really good getting to work more with Cynthia, and I see why she's been here for so long, because she's just such a great worker and really, really good to work with, and she's been so helpful in getting some of these things done. And so I hate that she keeps reminding me that we need to hire somebody, because I would rather her keep doing it, but I know that that's not tenable with all the other things that she does. But I just wanted to thank Cynthia for all that she's done so far. So with that, now that Cynthia's mad at me, if anybody has any thoughts or questions.
Thank you, our Executive Director, for this very fine report, and I certainly commend the inclusion of highlights of our citizens, their families who are speaking up, and as has been stated, emerging as leaders. It's a very important voice to be heard, and I believe that that's really what we as a commission we want to encourage in our community. Appreciate all that has been said concerning the response to the jail issue, and I'm certainly hopeful that we can use this situation to accomplish many more things as it relates to our judicial system. I want to move next to our budget and personnel report.
I have my report before you. There is a slight inaccuracy in our total budget, and for technical reasons, but it's $71,900 below what it actually is, because they added those general funds for this fiscal year in the next fiscal year's budget, and that's due to cover the deferred payroll that's been going on since 2012. I don't know if you're familiar, but to balance the budget in 2012, they moved June 30th payroll to July 1st in order to push those costs to the next fiscal year to give them a little extra room. Now they finally got the funds to make that up. So I'll include it in the next report. So we're doing a little better than it may give us, it may show on the spreadsheet.
Has it been 10 years?
Yeah.
I remember when that was
They've
done.
been doing it for 10 years. And
I didn't realize it had been that long.
they finally fixed it. Yes. And we're everyone in payroll and in HR and accounting, which I do both, are really glad that it's now.
I didn't mean to butt in.
No,
but
no, that's great.
Yeah.
Good question. Yeah, it's been 10 years. 2012 was when we first did it.
Wow.
I was there.
Any other questions? Comments? Thank you. Our next item, now do we need to vote to receive this report? Okay. Sure. Our next report will be from enforcement.
You have 22 cases from enforcement in this month, 1 administrative closure, 1 conciliation, 16 no probable cause recommendations, 1 withdrawal without settlement, and 3 withdrawals with settlement. Is there any questions that you may have on this? There's no questions. Terrence asked me to say something about the enforcement unit. So really briefly, I will say you have the stats there, so I won't repeat the stats. But I will say I'd like to applaud the enforcement unit staff. There's 5 individuals in that unit. When I started working here, September the 1st will be 25 years. We had 3 times as many enforcement officers as we have right now. And these individuals in this unit are doing an exceptional job. We have 2 team leaders who not only help to support the rest of the unit, but they also are investigators in addition. But all 5 of them are all 5 of them are leaders, and they're working extremely hard, as you can see, to make sure that they provide a good service to the people that we serve here in the company. So I just want to applaud them because they are doing the work of many, many, many people, and they're doing a good job.
Thank you. Again, there are no questions about any of the cases. If I may hear a motion to approve the staff report. Enforcement Division.
So moved.
To approve the report. Moved. Second by SAR, Commissioner SAR, seconded by Commissioner Stringer. Third.
No. I'm okay.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And none opposed. Thank you. I want to further encourage our staff, and I try to always be mindful of persons who are on the front line of getting work done and how valued you are to carrying out the mission. And I know that sometimes it is discouraging when you find that resources are not allocated. It may appear that someone does not value this work as much as they should, but I certainly think that it is upon us to encourage each other and as commissioners to know that you have our support, and just keep up the great work. Continue to work above the bar of excellence and make sure that every night when you rest, you'll need to rest, that you can feel a sense of accomplishment for the great work that's being done. Thanks again. I think we are ready next for the Education and Outreach Unit report.
Good morning. It is so nice to meet you in person and see you again in person. I want to do that James Brown thing where you run in and say, I'm back. But it's really,
Let's see it.
go to jail for that, but that is a judge here. That's not good. But you all have our report. Just a quick follow-up to Chair Burse's request last meeting that we be sure to invite all the local commissions to attend these meetings. So I have set it in the Outlook that every month they'll get a notice of when these meetings are, where they are, that we want to engage them and that the meetings are open, and please try to attend, especially if we're in your neighborhood or anywhere close to you. So that's just a follow-up to his request from the last meeting. In terms of highlighting our unit, as you can see, we're finally back to doing some education and outreach. We are still doing intake, and that in itself is another world for another day. But you can see the statistics from that. The statistics don't always tell the true story, whereas you'll see that we'll have 31 or 33 referrals, or by no means that's all the call. Is that all the calls that we get? On any given day, any one of us can pick up our phone and have between 18 and 22 messages just to return. And of those 18 to 22 messages, maybe 4 or 5 are actually viable intakes that we can do, that we can process. So just so you know, we're out there working. In the spirit of applauding and helping our youth, we've got some events coming up. In your report, you'll see that in the month of April, John Fisher up in Covington helped judge a poster contest, fair housing poster contest that they have every year. And then the Housing Authority puts those posters up. They make t-shirts with the winning picture on it and all that for the kids at school. It's an elementary age event. So as far as working with youth, we've kind of been focusing in on that. Terrence has inspired Wagner High School here in Louisville to do a run. And so I've been speaking with one of the students there and offered her our assistance in helping to publicize it and have a booth out there with some information for people to pick up, and maybe even have you come back or somebody come back and do some more inspirational speaking. And I just got an email sitting here that the flyer for that will be coming out today and coming to me. So that'll be hitting our airwaves and our emails. There was one other thing. Oh, I think their name is so cool, Future Ancestors.
Yeah.
That's the group that
Put together the race.
And then the housing forum that Terrence spoke about earlier. We actually have the flyer for that now. And realizing that not everyone has access to social media, we're going to do just some old-fashioned canvassing, where we literally just take these out, put them on doorsteps and on windshields or whatever, so that we can be sure to build a good attendance for this event. So that's education and outreach. Yes, sir.
By the way, I just want to request the commission to enhance the presence on the social media. I think that, Facebook, for example, is a really good tool for reaching the community. And I think that, the presence of the commission there is very good. So again, I really think that we should be working a little more on the social media, especially Facebook. I'm talking about, for example, my community. We are using a lot of Facebook. It will be a really good way to let them know what we are doing and what options are available for them.
Okay. Thank you all.
Thank you. All right, any other comments or questions for the education unit? I noticed very great lengthy report. A lot of work is being done. So.
Just that law school visit, was that at U of L?
No, law day was.
Law day?
That was in front of the old jail.
Yeah, it's in, and you can talk about it, Joe, since you were a panelist.
Yeah, I can talk about it as part of my report.
Yeah.
Okay, just curious.
All right. We'll move next to the legal unit report.
So legal unit report, you all have a copy of it. We've changed the format somewhat, just hopefully to be easily digestible with the information and to focus on updates in each of the cases. We still have a number of older cases that we're attempting to resolve. Part of the problem is that we have respondents who have vanished. They have gone out of business. They are no longer, it is difficult to recover judgments from them. So we're doing what we can in those cases. In section IB, that's where most of the action is occurring. We have a number of cases before administrative hearings. Those are moving quite quickly. Colt Sells in the legal unit is in charge of all the current cases in front of hearing officers. We've got dispositive motions. We've got hearings scheduled. We are moving right along. One thing I want to note is that we have a number of housing cases that are pending in circuit court. If you've ever litigated in state court, you know that it can take a long time, and we're still working on those, getting discovery completed and dispositive motions. One thing I want to note is on our section about pre-charge activities, we have a number of very old cases that we're trying to resolve. One of which this morning I got a fair conciliation offer from a respondent in a case that is 8 years old. We finally got them to respond and to put an offer on the table and accept some training and a change of policy. So we are seeing movement on very old cases. In other news, speaking of outreach, University of Louisville Law School hosted Law Day, which is an annual event celebrating the law, the rule of law in the United States, and the role of the judicial branch and attorneys in our daily life. I was asked to be a panelist at the last possible second by my friend Dan Cannon, who had to step out. He was scheduled to speak, but I was able to step in. And I got to speak with Judge Denise Clayton and Judge Brian Edwards and Kurt Metzmeyer, the law librarian at the University of Louisville, who's a professor of mine. And it was great to speak on a panel about the rule of law, the importance of judges, and the legal system. So that was a lot of fun at the last moment. The weather was nice, so despite me being somewhat unprepared, it was very pleasant. And got to hang out at the outreach booth with Marianne and Sana Abari, our new staff attorney. So, in other news, one of my missions as the managing attorney was to expand the KCHR's exposure in the courts, and not just for our own cases, but for private claims, because we do have a statutory role to interpret and enforce the Kentucky Civil Rights Act. And we can have an influence, I hope, on the judges who are actually deciding these cases and interpreting the law. The Kentucky Supreme Court recently granted a discretionary review to a case involving disability discrimination in Kentucky. There is a disconnect between the federal statute, the ADA, and the state statute in its text. The Kentucky legislature has not updated it in many years. And the courts are seizing that as an excuse to dismiss claims of disability discrimination in Kentucky, mostly based on cancer and other diseases, long-term debilitating diseases. And so this case gives the Kentucky Supreme Court an opportunity to fix that problem. And as part of our efforts, the legal unit is currently in the strategizing stage of filing an amicus brief on behalf of the plaintiffs in that case, who we believe have a very strong case. They actually won a multi-million-dollar verdict in the trial court, and the Kentucky Court of Appeals took that away and said that the law actually does not allow a claim for disability based on cancer. So we're going to argue otherwise. We think that's clearly a misstatement of the law and the mission of the Kentucky Civil Rights Act. So we will be hopefully in early July filing the first amicus brief I'm aware of on behalf of the agency in the past decade. So we're going to step back into a more influential role at the state court level and then eventually federal court level, wherever that's possible. So that's where the legal unit is currently. We are hard at work and cleaning up many of our old cases, moving forward our new ones, and taking a more active role in the litigation of the Kentucky Civil Rights Act statewide.
Thank you. Any questions? Thank you very much for this informative report. Sounds like there's some trailblazing going on.
Yeah.
Certainly need that. All right. I believe this ends our section reports. Are there any committee reports to brought forward today? Hearing none. Any new business? No new business. It's a lot of business going on. So may not have much time for anything new. At least not today. Well, I do want to mention that our next meeting will be held at the Children's Home of Northern Kentucky via Zoom teleconferencing and also in person, 9 a.m. to noon on Thursday, June the 23rd. Thursday, June the 23rd. I want to yield to Executive Director and Commissioner Worth if you have any words or comments on next meeting.
May I just say thank you? I know that involves some travel to the northern part of the state, but I promise I'll make it worth your while. We've already got donut trucks and food trucks lined up for you. That day, we're having a pride event. We're the only children's home in the Commonwealth to have certification from the National Human Rights Campaign Foundation for our work with LGBTQ youth. And last night, I just met with some of the national representatives from Human Rights Campaign Foundation over at the Brown Hotel. There's a disproportionate number of LGBTQ youth in our state foster care system. We have 5 residential buildings, 5 different units at Children's Home of Northern Kentucky. And 2 of those units at our Burlington campus are devoted to females. And presently, 100% of the females at that campus identifies LGBTQ. And if you could hear some of the stories about what their experiences have been like in our foster care system and at other children's homes that I would say are not culturally competent. The amount of hurt and damage done to these kids is palpable. So to have you come up just means the world. After the meeting, we're going to have the mayor of Covington come up and say a few words for lunch. We're going to have an outdoor tent set up on our front lawn. I know I'm biased, but I think it's one of the most beautiful places in our Commonwealth, our campus overlooking downtown Cincinnati and the Ohio River. We're going to have lunch. The mayor's going to say a few words. We've invited the first LGBTQ individual who holds the office of Hamilton County Sheriff. Now, that's the county directly across the river from us in Cincinnati. And Charmaine McGuffey is her name. I thought she could be really an inspiration, especially to our kids in residential care, but she has such a compelling story. Years ago, when she was a sheriff's deputy in Hamilton County, she was harassed simply for coming out of a gay bar in Covington by law enforcement. And here the sheriff's deputy from Hamilton County found herself face down on the asphalt at the hands of law enforcement simply because she and her girlfriends were coming out of a bar. And so I think the mayor had suggested we need to invite her back to Covington and give her the keys to the city of Covington. And so that will be part of our lunchtime events if you're able to stay. But I just am very grateful that the commission is willing to come up and to spend some time with us noting that work. Obviously, as you heard today, it's not been exactly a neutral time for LGBTQ affairs in Kentucky. So I'm really just very grateful.
Talked about getting me a spare key to the city.
And Clarence is going to get the spare key ring. A key fob.
Not aware.
Because of his love of technology.
On that note, I also, thanks to Commissioner Worth, I've been talking to the National Human Rights Campaign about them doing a partnership with us, with the agency, on some outreach efforts and getting us some materials and getting us some type of just helping us leverage some of their resources. I have a meeting next week or the week after with the Human Rights Campaign with the and to talk about some of the things that we can do collaboratively. They're hoping to have us something done in June for Pride to put out that would be co-branded with us and the Human Rights Campaign. And so when that comes, I'll make sure to share, but that's just just moving in that same direction. Maybe that comes when we have that event, which would be really nice to share out at that time.
Yeah, so we met with several CEOs of other children's homes around the state, including those here in Louisville. And what we're trying to figure out is if those other CEOs would be interested in joining the All Children, All Families movement sponsored by the National Human Rights Campaign. And so we're planning on a meeting to convene and talk with national representatives. It's simply a matter of having employees trained to be culturally competent to avoid micro and macro aggressions against this population in our state foster care system. So I think that's going to be really exciting to have the Louisville-based children's homes join the crusade.
This sounds exciting. We get a chance to be supportive of your work as a fellow commissioner. And, looking forward to next month being there. I know that there will be directions on us getting there and whatnot. And looking forward to the food trucks.
Yes.
Keys and all of
Yes.
these great exposures, because it gives us some presence there within our state.
Donuts and barbecue for everyone.
Wow. Okay. Ready to eat. I think that is all that I see that claims our attention on our agenda. I do want to close by acknowledging we are seeing outbreak again in our nation of some very hideous and violent acts that are quite disturbing. And this word human, I want all of us to, in the course of this next month, as we prepare to go to Northern Kentucky, to just relish the term human. What does that really mean in 2022? What corrections should be made in the thinking of fellow humans about humanity? And just disturbs that we have evolved in many areas of our thinking as a nation to these kinds of things. I saw a photo of the gun. I don't know if you all saw that. Terminology of reparations on it, things of this nature. So we have a lot of work to do. And these thought processes are not unto us every day. So we have a lot to continue to advocate for as it relates to human rights. So I take very seriously our mission. I want to commend our commissioners, our executive director, and our staff, those who are watching from the community even today or later, as we band together to do this work and make sure that we hold people accountable. If there is nothing else, we will consider our meeting adjourned, and thank you for your attendance. Thank you.